So using that formula, give me what house does D20 relate to? Come on, don't look.
8th house.
8th house.
At what level?
At the level of the mind.
Good. Not the physical level of the 8th house, right? So it's not showing dying on a physical plane.
No, it's showing spiritual
Transformation.
Transformation, time alone, meditation. Showing a little bit more of the spiritual aspects of the 8th house.
Right.
This is not the physical aspects.
It's not dying.
It's not the sexual organs or anything like that anymore. We've gone to a higher level. It's the 5th house from the 4th. The 4th is the moksha trine. So what is the 5th from the 4th when we think about moksha? 5th house is what?
Doing practices.
What is the 5th house?
Meditation,
No.
mantra.
Just 5th from anything. 5th is the
Spiritual knowledge.
Intelligence.
Spiritual teachings.
our mind, intelligence, planning, decision making, right? So if we look at the 5th from the 4th as the house of moksha, the plan, the decision making for moksha, the mind being applied relative to moksha. Okay? Bhavat bhavam. How we're applying our mind, the chitta, relative to moksha, the 4th house. What is our desires to get moksha? What is our plan to get moksha? What's our speculation that we can do so and so and get moksha? That's the 8th house at this level, based on bhavat bhavam.
Why are you talking about the 5th from the 4th and not the 5th from the 8th?
Because we're looking at the 8th house.
We're looking at the 8th house.
We're looking at it because it's 20, so it's 12 plus 12 times 1 plus 8.
But aren't we looking at things from the 8th house in the D20?
I'm saying, what is the 8th? 8th is the 5th from the 4th.
Right.
Just from that nature.
Okay.
From the 12th, what is it? It's the 9th from the 12th. So it's the dharma of liberation.
Oh, okay.
It's what protects and ensures liberation of the 12th.
So it's a really cool house in the D20.
It's definitely, once we get to the higher Vargas, it's a nice house.
Oh, okay.
It's really the physical level that it's pretty nasty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Nasty.
So if a person that's running the Ryan Dasha of the 8th house, is that
which?
moksha time for them, or
Of this chart?
of the D20?
We'll get to there.
Okay. All right.
Karakas.
Alright. The alarm just went off. It's time to lose everything.
We just changed Taurus.
What are the Karakas? Karaka planets. First. Jupiter and
K2
K2 and
of Sun.
Sun. Those are our Karakas.
K2.
Sun, go Sun first, then Jupiter, then K2. Sun is that Atma. Sun is the Sarvatma. And in general, you look at the relationship between the Sun and the Lagna and the Sun and the Atmakaraka and the Rashi. First to see the level of spirituality. And then you look at the D20. If there's no spirituality in the person, why look at the D20? They got to be spiritual for us to look here, right? Otherwise, don't even look. Why look at the spirituality of somebody who's not spiritual?
Won't it just prove that though?
With hope.
Yeah.
But you remember, if we looked at the Rashi and we saw that they can't have kids, what are we going to do in the D7? There's no kids for us to figure out what the sex of the children are. Make sure they have spirituality. Then let's go here to get a magnifying lesson. What is their spirituality? Just like that. You can't tell them about their kids if they don't have them. You can't tell them about, their spiritual practice if they're atheists and don't believe in it, I ran in once to my linguistics professor at Whole Foods, and I was in line with him, and so I finally got some some time, like, and I said to him, I was talking. He was from California, and we were in Massachusetts, and we were studying about like speech defects, and how certain people can say certain sounds and certain people can't, and how certain cultures have certain sounds and other cultures and languages don't. And I said, I had this hypothesis or this idea that people that are born unable to pronounce certain sounds, if there could be some research to see where they lived in past lives, to see if that language that they had didn't have those sounds. And the reason they have that speech defect is because they, there was this look on his face like he was with a madman.
Yeah.
He was afraid. And I was like, okay, I've scared this guy. and I said, you don't believe in past lives, do you? He said, no. I said, you probably don't believe in God or anything either, do you? He said, that's right. And he paid and he left, and my gosh. I mean, the look on his face was like...
Was he a former teacher, or did you have to be in class with him?
I had to be in class with him again. But so why would we go to this guy's D20?
Yeah, it wouldn't do any good.
You don't go to that guy's
Be
D.
interested in it.
You don't look at the guy's D20.
Would
you
you find out how
Waste
bad of
of
an
time.
atheist he is?
Yeah, how can you tell?
You don't
Forget
even
about
go. You don't even go.
How do you tell an atheist from a child?
It's an affliction. There should be an affliction to the 5th and 9th house, as well as 2-12 relationship or 6-8 relationship between the Lugna Lord and the Sun, as well as the Atmakaraka and the Bratrakaraka will be in a 6-8 relationship, like these kind of things.
So a homeless person, you're not going to tell them, look at their career chart.
Exactly.
But they'll have one.
They'll have one.
Well, you may
But it's
find out
weird.
that
You
at one
think,
point they had a career,
maybe they never did.
or maybe
And there are people who don't have
they're
careers.
career beggars.
Just remember it like this. Why try and determine the sex of a child if the Rashi shows that they don't have children? If you remember that, that's, we only, trust me, when I do a reading, after about an hour and 20 minutes of an hour reading, I say, I have to go now. They say, but, and I say, they have a million more questions, but I don't have a million more minutes.
Make another appointment.
So, you only have so much time, and you don't want to waste it. So, we got the Karakas here. Karaka Bava. What do you think?
For the D20?
Yeah.
5th and 9th.
Huh? Primarily 5th house. Primarily 5th. 9th would be a secondary. What's the 5th house show?
Mantra,
Mantra, what else?
devotion.
Mind.
Discernment.
What's the mind manifest as? Oh, great Buddha master.
Understanding.
What's the mind manifest as at this level?
Discrimination.
At this level, the mind and its desires will manifest as deities.
Oh, it's deity.
You wouldn't have got that with me.
Yeah, no, I
It
would.
manifests
That's
as the God.
This is a primary Buddhist, concept.
Deities.
No, it's a
yeah.
Can you say it
tantric
again? The
concept.
mind
Yeah.
manifests as
And a lot of times people say that like Hindus believe that the deities actually exist, but nothing in Hindu philosophy actually says they believe they actually exist. And if you really find the root, at this level, there's really no difference in the belief of the actual deity. It's substantiality. At this level, the 5th house shows our desires, what we want, what we're speculating, what we're trying to achieve. It's the mind. And what the mind wants manifests as the deities. And we pray to these deities to get what we want. So the deities that a person worships are seen by the 5th house.
In the D20.
What they like to worship, because it's what they want. You'll also see the deities you'll also see the deities in the 5th house of the Rashi. But you'll see much more specifically in the D20. Just as an example, Sukhanadi. In the what is it called? It's called Sukha. In the Sukhanadi text, it says, and it's talking about the Rashi. It says, if the fifth lord is in Leo aspected by the sun, the person worships Shiva with the 5-syllabled mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. It's that specific. Okay. So, we look at the Rashi and we look at the D5, or the fifth house of the D20, and that'll give us the exact specific deities that the person worships.
What if the person isn't Hindu?
For example, in my fifth house of the D20, I have the moon. If I was a Catholic, who would I worship?
Worship Mary.
Would I care about Jesus, or would I love Mary? Okay? In this way. Yeah. In general, Ketu shows the saints.
Ketu shows
Venus
the
shows angels. The sun shows the Father.
Father.
Jupiter shows the Guru, Jesus. And so we have to translate everything. We don't have a choice.
So it could be any, let's say a person practiced some kind of animistic religion. Could that be determined from that chart?
If they practice an animistic religion, unless, if somebody in America that is practicing an animistic religion, a place where we have a lot of choice, there has to be, it's either going to be, it'll be Venus in a Tamasic sign. That Venus in a Tamasic sign shows animistic religions.
Interesting.
If we went to a tribal culture where it's all animistic religions, then we can't say that it's Venus in a Tamasic sign.
But you could determine.
But we can see if it's an animistic religion, they either like tree spirits more than stone spirits, or they like flower spirits more, and then we can use our natural karakas to determine what spirit energies they're working with. And it will be spot on, without a doubt.
Oh, right. So for Brazilians, you could say, yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So we have to base, on the culture that we're working with. But if an American is doing some animistic religion, it's definitely Venus in a Tamasic sign, significating it.
Well, it's very fashionable for European Americans to pursue Native American practices, but those are specific to tribe.
And they change depending on the tribe too.
Some are the animals, and others are sky, and it's very varied.
But we should be able to see that in this chart. Second house, or let's look first house and its trines. The more planets there, with the first house trines and the Lugna Lord, show the spiritual awareness of a person.
The planets and trines.
Planets in first, fifth, or ninth. Yeah, just go to the chart that's there.
Yeah.
First, fifth, or ninth, or with the Lugna Lord, will show the awareness, how much spiritual awareness a person has.
Lugna Lord in the D20, not in the
Yeah.
Rashi.
No. We're just in the D20 now. Look at the first, fifth, ninth, and Lugna Lord. Like if the Lugna Lord's conjunct 5 planets, there's 5 planets in the Lugna, 5 planets in the fifth. That's showing how much spiritual awareness and practice a person is doing and having. What do you have? You got to have a loaded house there somewhere, I know.
I have some.
Yeah, which one?
Well, I have Sun in the 8th house, but got Mars, Mercury together, which is the Lugna Lord. And I also have Moon in the 5th and Saturn in the 9th.
So you got all the houses pretty much loaded. Yeah. Okay. So that's one of the first things we look at. We look at the karakas to see how well they're placed, and then we look at those houses to see how much awareness is there. We see the Lugna Lord, we can see the ideals. The 9th house will show us the perspective, the views the person has. Their philosophies about religion will be seen from that house. Second house is a very important house. It shows the spiritual community. And there's a deity connected to the house. Just like we saw the Ishta Devata in the beginning of today, and the Dharma Devata. The deity connected to this is called the Kula Devata. When do we worship the Kula Devata?
You have problems with family.
What kind of problems?
When people are arguing, when the family is breaking apart.
Maybe.
When you see everybody in the family having problems.
That's the
then you
key
think
word.
With everybody in the family.
Everybody's having a problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your mom just got cancer, your father cut his finger off, your brother's addicted to drugs, your sister's getting divorced, you're having... When everybody in the family is having problems, you better call on the Kula Devata. Because it's showing that the family deity is not happy. He's not protecting the family. We see the Kula Devata from right here. Once I rectified a chart, the gentleman's Kula Devata, you already knew because it was India, the whole family was great Hanuman worshippers. It was Varanasi, and they were all, every night they would go to the Sankata Mochana temple. And I looked at his chart, I knew this about him, as the Kula Devata, and I saw Mars in the third. Did a quick, changed his birth time 1 minute, put it in the second house. Therefore, Mars, Hanuman, showing the family. And in this house, the Kula Devata can take any form. Literally, there's Kula Devatas that I've seen that are strange rocks, and that's their Kula Devata. So the Kula Devata, any form of the deity that the family is associated with, should be propitiated in these.
So there's
But
Venus,
they're up-
Venus head, and who is the Kula Devata?
Some feminine deity. I mean, your first thought would be either Lakshmi or Radha, or
And K2 Rahu, you'd have Ganesh or something?
Ketu Rahu, yeah. Ganesh or Durga, or What if it was Ketu Rahu and it was a Catholic? Catholics I like. They're nice and easy because they have everything that we have in Hinduism, You get to some of these Protestants and things like that, and it gets really tough. It's really tough. You gotta find something, but it's hard.
St. Christopher.
Saint Christopher. Why Saint Christopher?
That's a Catholic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The
Because
Catholics didn't get rid of the saints, that's why it's easier.
Yeah.
isn't he just like in charge of sickness?
He's a
Protector.
what's a saint? What's a saint who stabs dragons and
Stephen.
bulls?
Oh, it's St. George. George.
That's Saint Michael the
St.
Archangel.
Michael, the Archangel Michael.
Yeah, it would be that one because Durga. You ever see Durga
Yeah.
stabbing? That's Rahu,
Okay.
Oh,
and Ketu is the saint. So you want the saint who's stabbing the
Saint Michael.
yeah.
Yeah, St. Michael.
Saint
And
Michael
they've
Archangel.
got Archangel Michael. They've got in
Yeah.
fact, I have mantras for St.
Yeah.
But there's also a St. George who fought the dragon in medieval.
Yeah.
You know that
Yeah.
one.
So these are significations of that as a Kula Devata.
French.
Of course, you see she translated out of French. It's Kula Devata there. What would we do if it was a Protestant who just happened to get a Vedic astrology reading?
That might be right.
Because everybody in their family was suffering, and so somebody finally recommended them to you, and so they're a little hesitant, but they've come to you, and now it's like, of course, you don't even need to look at the chart. They need to worship the Kula Devata just by what their situation is. And then we saw Rahu and Ketu is in the second house as the Kula Devata. What do we tell
They're fucked.
them?
I think they would be down for worshiping Michael the Archangel.
A Protestant?
No, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't do that?
No.
They'd have
They
to,
don't
they
worship
would have to
angels?
take on the deity themselves. They would have to act as the deity, so you'd have to give them, right?
But they believe in the Bible.
They believe in the Bible. Okay.
So, the Bible's full of all those prophets, and what about the prophets? Calling on the prophets.
But they can't worship.
Yeah.
So they can only worship Jesus. So you'd have to stick with Jesus, but Jesus doing a certain act.
Say go to the crucifixion.
That sounds
go
good.
to a crucifixion image instead of
Okay.
an empty cross.
But so let's find our Saint Michael or our Durga.
The apostles, Mary.
heard of it. Jesus throwing the money changers out of the temple. That's kind of like
Jesus carrying the beggars.
Wait, didn't Jesus do battle with Satan
Yeah.
He did do
on the mountain or
something.
something?
well, no, that was later.
Oh, in the
In
after,
the Book of Revelation.
after his baptism, he went into the
He cast him out of
desert
heaven.
and was tempted by Satan.
And had his battle there.
Yeah.
So maybe we could say, you know, read this verse once a week on the day of the planet ruling that house.
Meditate on this.
Do they believe in the Old Testament too?
Sure, yeah.
What about like Abraham when he
You know,
killed his
Protestants
son?
believe in the Old Testament.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe,
But
maybe
but
meditate on
in
the story.
in this way,
That's not a bad idea.
Have that in.
in this way, we have to recommend.
Mhm.
Okay, if you understand what it means, what I'm saying it represents Durga. What's Durga mean? Durga is she's there destroying this demon. She's removing the lower energies. So we have to find some way that that's also in that person's frame of reference.
But,
Oh,
yeah.
have them,
And
have them read Revelation.
Revelation.
Or Jesus, he was going around healing and exorcisms. And
Yeah, but that would be more like some Vishnu or moon kind of combination. That wouldn't be the Rahu Ketu. But this is the right line of thought.
Okay.
We have to go into a story of Jesus, or we have to go into an angel, or we have to find something that has the same energy in that person's religion. And that's what I wanted to
So
show.
if you're going to have a clientele that's Christian, you've got to study a little bit about Christianity and get familiar with the Bible.
Move back to
You're
the Bay
going
Area.
to have Christian.
And then move back to the Bay Area.
Yeah, but most people go to Jyotishis generally don't follow the Bible.
Mostly. But it's important that we do know
Mm-hmm.
this. And even if they don't follow the Bible, then what if we get a Muslim?
Mhm.
What do you do?
I have to learn the Quran.
Well, you ask them for stories. Ask them to think of some instances
Yeah.
that they were personally familiar with. No.
What I do is, for the Muslims, that one book there, it's called The Names and the Named.
You got the names of
The names, plural, and the named, singular.
Allah.
It's there's 99 names of Allah.
Oh, wow.
And one of the names is the All Merciful. One is the All Bountiful. And so I use the names. Last time I used the names there was a woman. Her husband was Muslim, and he had a Marna Karaka Sthana Venus, and there was some affliction to the Upapada, and I needed to do something to the Venus, and I couldn't do a Jyotirlingam mantra. And he was really into the properties of water, and the Haido, the Haido, with the water vibration. So I had him put one of the 99 names of Allah that represent love, and the rejuvenation of Venus, which I didn't say the rejuvenation of Venus, but I used one of the 99 names. Put that on the water and drink the water with that name. Instead of pouring water over a Shiva lingam and saying the Venus mantras.
Oh, so he just threw that name on his jug.
That name on his jug and got his Haido water, charged with the name of Allah that represents love.
Did he do that as a regular practice for a while?
I haven't heard. It was a reading. They called and I never... I don't know what happened. But just the way that, we take the concept and...
I see this as a very good idea because Hinduism or Buddhism is always going to be a minority religion here. So we're going to have to relate to people's experience.
But is it Jyotishi? See, the thing about the Jyotishi is the Jyotishi rises above the name and form and sees the archetypal energy that's moving everything. When we understand these planets, we're understanding the archetypal energy that makes the whole world work. And then all of a sudden it densifies into these things that people differentiate. And we're transcending that. Seeing the archetypal energy, and then we figure out how they perceive that energy. But we're utilizing the archetypal energy. We see it, even if they can't.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if they can't, as long as we get them to bring more of the energy that they need in their life. That's second house. Third house. Third house is the Upadesha. It's listening to the Guru. Third house represents the ears. So the fact that you're here right now listening to these teachings, that's Upadesha. That's actually hearing. And so in the D20 chart, the Upadesha, it's spiritual Upadesha. It's being with the Guru. So someone that has their sun there or the Lagna Lord there shows somebody who really wants to be with the Guru. What's your third house look like?
Capricorn.
Any planets?
Affected by Saturn.
Any planets there?
No.
I would think you'd have something there. There has to be something going on. Maybe play with your chart. See what can, see if you can. Because you're somebody who Upadesha is one of your main. You like to go and sit with the teacher and listen, right? That's one of your main practices, which is third house here.
Well,
Yeah, but he got a
the
silent-
third Lord goes.
That's right.
Guru doesn't
Saturn
talk.
goes to the ninth house.
To the ninth house.
Gotta listen
So that's
quite carefully.
With a few, it's so-so. I'd like to see the Lagna Lord there, the sun there, something, really showing some spiritual awakening there. And if we can't get anything like that there, then we can question whether how successful sitting and listening to the teacher is going to be.
That's what Sun the 8th.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if the sun is there, then listening to the teacher, this just is spiritual knowledge is going to be just manifesting in this way. Fourth house is temple, place of worship. And also, it's not too important, but there's a deity called the Grama Devata, the deity of the town.
Deity of the town.
Yeah.
We don't have that around here.
Now we have the football team of the town.
Right.
The 49ers.
The factory.
Same as in the land.
Hmm?
Since the same of the land.
Not of your house. You have one of just the house, which is Sthana Devata. Then you have one of the town, Grama Devata. And if you look at Richmond versus like El Cerrito, totally different deity is guiding and protecting it. Berkeley, what a Grama Devata they have over there.
Grama
I mean-
David says fourth house.
Yeah, of the D20. So if we got a bunch of people who lived long term in Berkeley, we could try and figure out who the Gramata Devata is. Eric and I are pretty sure it's some Jyotir Lingam form of Shiva, probably most likely connected to Sagittarius. Just because of what manifests there is the temples and the teachings and the educational energy in that area. So in that way, but this is temple. Fifth house is mantras. It's the bhakti. It's the deity they worship. Sixth house shows what breaks your spiritual practice. What'll break your devotion to a certain deity. A person gets really into worshiping Shiva and then all of a sudden it stops. What breaks it? Person, you're supposed to do 40 days of your Agni Bija in your third eye. You go for 7 and then it stops. That whatever planet's there will show what's stopping. If it's Saturn, laziness is stopping.
Saturn. That's what I got there.
You got Saturn there? Laziness is
I
stopping.
know.
If you have,
I've got Saturn there too, with the moon.
if you have the moon there, then the mind is just attracted to something else. Runs off.
Sixth house.
Yeah. Showing what's breaking your practice,
Right, I
your
got
mantras.
Saturn could be any other stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm generalizing.
Okay.
Based on the sign, based on aspects, it'll get you the specifics. Based on all the rules we've learned.
Got it.
Okay? Seventh house is kirtan, singing, celebration, songs to the deity.
Do we see Parivartanas in the?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So
Very
if
much
you do have a malefic in the sixth, does that mean you just try to overcome it, or you just
Yeah.
go,
What's your malefic?
I don't have my chart.
Okay.
D20.
So if it's Saturn, it's laziness. And we sit there. And now from now on, when I tell them to do a mantra, I'm going to be like, and make sure you do it. Don't get tired. Like, light some incense before you do your practice. Remove that Saturn, And, so we give a few Saturn remedies with whatever we're giving.
You try to overcome it.
Yeah.
You use your effort, you will. Okay.
You don't decide to be lazy and, just
So
say, oh, I stopped the practice again because I'm lazy. All right. I wonder what the next one will be.
Have your espresso before you start.
I got Mercury and Sun.
Mercury and Sun, huh? I'd maybe rectify.
Yeah,
What's your favorite deity? Favorite deity? What god? Do you have any gods hanging up where you live?
He's the saint.
Who?
Ama.
Ama.
Oh yeah.
Krishna.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I got that. Yeah, I got a lot of deities. Actually.
Ganesh, Krishna, Ama. What are the main deities? Vishnu. Then rectify?
That's kind of like my job, so Vishnu.
Vishnu? What do you mean?
Doer of good deeds.
Uh-huh. I'd rectify. I'd throw Sun and Mercury. I'd rectify it. Put that in your 5th house. Yeah, because you wouldn't be here.
What, with Sun or Mercury in the 6th?
Yeah, he's not. He wouldn't be able to finish it. This is the spirituality in itself. Jyotish sadhana we're doing. Mercury, the analysis that we have to do, and Sun, it's as a karaka of Jyotish, he wouldn't be able to make it this far through a Jyotish course. If he's got a big picture, that's showing a love of Vishnu. So if just as long as he has a decent sized picture of Vishnu, then I'll believe that's in the 5th house. Unless he tells me that he loves to go to Vishnu temple and sing and dance, then I'd say maybe it's in the 7th. But 8th house, ability to transform self and burn one's negative karma. This is tapasya here, 8th house.
What if you have Mars there?
It's good.
Really good.
What's it the Lord of?
It's in
Where's your
Virgo.
Lugna Lord, huh?
It's in Virgo. My
Yeah, but what's your
Lugna
Lugna Lord?
is it's Aquarius.
Which house
Saturn.
though?
In the Lugna. Oh. There's moon there.
Yeah, but where's your Lugna Lord going?
Saturn
Lugna
is
Lord.
in the 4th with Mercury.
Saturn's in the 4th. So temple is what we're looking at as the main practices. We're, follow the Lugna Lord, look at Jupiter, look at Sun, look at where they're placed. And those are places where, you're going to, where the Lugna Lord is where your intelligence is going to be successful at. Where Jupiter is at is where, you're going to be able to get some connection to God, because Jupiter is God in all signs. Where the Sun is where the spirituality is going to be most increased, and you're going to get the most spiritual knowledge and understanding. So we want to look at this. If there's a planet there and it's maybe really strong, then, we'll be good at that. How successful, what it'll give us, that's another story.
Sun's in the 5th and Jupiter's in the 7th.
So with Sun in the 5th, that's why you like to do so much puja.
Yes.
Yeah. So 9th house we discussed, that gives the person their perspectives. It also shows the diksha guru. Shows the guru themselves and the perspective the person has. It's related to jnana marga, the path of spiritual knowledge. 10th house is related to darshan and visualization practices. It's this, Lugna Lord going here shows the person actually has the ability to see God, and they've, that meditation upon the form of the divine being very powerful.
You mean Lugna Lord of the D20?
Yeah. Of the Rashi, you throw it here, it'll show where you're applying your consciousness to, though, too. That's the rule, right? 10th house also shows the power of divine sight. The 11th house, it's a marika again to the 5th house. It shows what the person wants to gain from their spiritual practice. whenever you want to get something from spirituality, it never really gives you anything. Only when we do it to really be with God and enjoy God and give devotion to God does it give us something. So, 12th house, that's the house of Samadhi, Dhyana. It's the house of formlessness. It's the house people that are very into the formless, non-formed deities, no deities.
Must be like Advaita.
Yeah.
Zen practitioners.
Zen practitioners. And it gives the ability to attain Samadhi as well. I'm trying to think there's a famous, just did a chart of, maybe it was Lahiri Mahasaya or somebody had this, our Paramguru Guru, Sri Achyutananda, he had like 4 planets here with the Lagna Lord.
Wow.
Yeah. And he formless. See, that's where he was with Chaitanya, and Chaitanya went and he gave different teachings to different people, according to what they were at, and he gave certain teachings to Achyuta, and then Achyuta was a little kid when Chaitanya was older, and so when Chaitanya left body, Achyuta had like 40 more years of living without the Guru, and he'd pray to the Guru, and he realized that whether he was praying to the Guru or praying to the God, it was the same thing. That there was no difference between praying to the Guru and praying to the God. And he was praying to nothing. There was nothing that he could see. And so he called it Nirankara Brahman, the formless God. And he had an experience where, praying to his Guru, he realized that his Guru was God and that God was formless. And he went into Samadhi and merged with Guru, God, the full everything. And he was able to enter this state regularly. And in this state, he was able to have sarvajnana. He was able to have, understanding of the past, present, future, and the workings of all different kinds of things. And so the tradition that comes down is Chaitanya's teachings of the Nirankara Brahman. But that was because of his heavy 12th house that this was the path that he took, and that he was able to find the most success in. Okay? Okay. You want to take a break?
No, let's keep going.
I think we need, let's at least take a 10-minute.
Stretch break.
Move our blood. Yeah.
So,
Stretch blood.
press the button.